Welcome to the Digital Empires podcast. I'm Shruti Pankthi, a digital product entrepreneur and content creator. I went from being a hobby blogger to building a 7-figure business in just 4 years using the power of digital products and content marketing. And I'm here to help you do the same. So let's get started. Hey, welcome. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about a few key things that you need to know before you start selling digital products so that you can be in the right state of mind, you can have the right information to get started and have the maximum chance of being successful with selling digital products online. So, thing number one that you need to know, which is an absolute must, is understanding that your niche and your product idea is the most important thing that you are going to get started with. This is why it's so important to actually take the time to do the research and look into what is actually happening right now in the market. What are the products that are being sold? At what price are these products being sold? What is the size of your competition? How much money and sales are they making in a single day? And there's so many ways that you can actually look into it. You can check out Google Trends, you can look at Pinterest, you can look at Etsy. There's so many different types of softwares that also allow you to do this spying and snooping that there is no excuse for you not to know this before you start selling digital products. The main thing that you have to make sure, especially as a beginner, is that you start selling something that people already want. Because if you try to look for, this one rare unicorn of an idea that is going to make you a billionaire, especially if you've never done something like this before, chances are you're not going to find it. So you're going to have a much higher rate of success if you actually look at an idea and a niche that is already working, that you have an interest in, that you feel you could provide value in. The next key thing that you need to know before you start selling digital products is that you need to validate your idea. Now, what do I mean by validation? What I mean by validation is that you need to find a way to get the approval in the form of a sale or a lead before you start investing your time in creating a product. So let's say you want to create a workshop and this workshop is going to be 3 hours long, but you have no idea if anyone is going to be interested in buying this workshop from you. So what can you do in that case? In that case, you can do something which is called pre-selling. And this is a method I teach in a lot of detail inside the Digital Business Bundle. Details are going to be in the description box below if you're interested in checking that out. And what we do essentially here is that in the pre-sale, we look for signals and basically validation to make sure that there's enough of an interest in our product before we invest significant time, energy, and resources in creating that. Another way to look for this is that you can also look for complementary products that are already existing in the market and see if they have a high sales record. So if you can figure out if a similar product is doing extremely well, that's also a great way to validate your idea as well. Another method with which you can validate your product idea is by offering some sort of a waitlist or even segmenting the audience that you already have. So let's say, if you are on Instagram and you just have no email list, you have no website, nothing at all, a very, very simple way, or like a stupid easy way to do it would be to just run a poll and get people to say yes. Ask them point blank if they're going to be interested in this product idea that you want to sell. Because once you have a strong expression of interest, where let's say that there are a lot of people who are interested in what you have to sell, that is much better than you spending 3 months in a cave creating a product, launching it, and then hearing crickets. The next thing that you need to know before you get started is that you do not need overpriced premium products or any specific expertise to get started. I mean, we live in a time where we have ChatGPT and we have, I don't know how many other custom GPTs that you can create, train, and use for pretty much everything under the sun. Not only can you write amazing copy for free, which was not possible back when I had started, not only can you design things for free with tools like Canva, you can even record, edit, create slide decks, presentations, pretty much every single thing for less than $100 a month. You do not need to break the bank to get started. Where you do probably need support is to upgrade your skill set and to upgrade your mindset. And that is where, more premium products like courses, workshops, mentorships, coaching, and all of that can come in. However, that is the next step. The first step that you need to take is to actually get started with getting comfortable with what your ideas are, validating those ideas, and what are the basic tools that you need in order to get started. You do not need something fancy. You don't need to be a tech expert. And you certainly don't need to be, someone from a marketing background to get started. Do those things help when you start? Absolutely. If you're a photographer in your offline business, of course, if you sell templates or some kind of presets, you're going to have an advantage over everyone else. So that goes without saying. However, there are tons of products that you can create that do not need a specific professional expertise. You can create those products just based on your own experiences or even experiences that you curate from other people. So if you don't want to create your own ebook, you can simply interview people that you feel would have value to add in your ebook and create an ebook which is filled with these interviews or case studies. There really are so many ways that you can add value. You shouldn't let, an excuse such as I'm not good enough or I don't have good enough tools to hold you back. The next key truth that you need to hear before you dive into product creation and sales is that there is a specific way to build your audience before you launch your product. And the reason why you need to do this is because if you launch to no one, you are going to make zero sales, right? I mean, if you start and you open a coffee shop and there's no one coming in and day out, how long is your coffee shop going to last? I bet not that long, right? The same is true for an online business as well. It doesn't matter what you're selling, you're going to have to figure out who you're going to sell it to before you launch it. Because if you launch it to an audience of zero, you're going to make a fat $0 from your sale. And this is exactly why it's so important to get started with creating content, with getting an idea of what are the different sales channels, what are the different ways that you can build your audience in order to actually sell your product in the long run. This is especially important if this is your first time selling a product. You have to figure out how you're going to be building your audience, and you have to do it in a way that inspires trust and further down the line helps you get new customers. The next key truth that is also in line with what I just said, and that is to know which platform is right for you. Now, by platform, I simply mean what is the way or the source that you're going to be driving people to your product or to your sales page. Now, this can be something as simple as opening an Instagram account and running your business completely through that. You can 100% do it, and there are tons and tons of people who do that. However, what you have to do is you have to commit to one platform and do that really, really well. If you're able to do that and are able to understand how the whole content creation game works, how you're able to take people from your content all the way to a conversion, you're going to win in the long run. You don't need to jump into paid methods of advertising or referral marketing or any of these other more fancier things until you've started to learn the basics of driving sales online. It's just as simple as what people say, you can't learn how to run without actually walking first. And I've seen so many people get overwhelmed and they want to create funnels, they want to have order bumps and upsells, they want to get ads, they want to do joint ventures. All of these things are well and good, but everything has its time and place. If you haven't made your first, let's say, 100 sales organically, which is like for free, you are going to have a difficult time doing that even with paid methods such as ads because you haven't figured out what actually makes people tick and what actually makes them buy. You need to understand what it is that you're going to be selling and how it is that you're going to be selling before you jump into multiplying your traffic sources. Okay, the next 3 tips I'm going to share are not going to be tactical tips. However, tips that I've learned in so many years of selling digital products and just being in the online space. It's been now over 7 years that I started out blogging, and over 4.5 years actually now since I've been doing digital products. So I've been in the space longer than most other digital product gurus that you're seeing here. So the next tip that I want to share with you is that it's going to take you longer than you think. So just to give you some context here, my first blog took over 18 months to start making money, aka it was making no money. And I was just basically investing in tools and assets and ebooks and all sorts of things before it ever made me a penny. It took me 9 months to get to 1,000 YouTube subscribers and almost 80 videos. It took me over 3 years to get over 10,000 Instagram followers. And even though right now I have over 100,000 followers, that is not how it was when I first started out. It's been something that has compounded over the years. So the key thing to remember here is that even though we desperately want to see sales coming in quickly and we want to see our business growing really, really fast, you have to realize that if that is not happening, there is some sort of gap that exists right now in your life. And usually in my experience, those gap tends to fall in one of these 2 categories. Either you have a skill gap, which means that you have a hard skill that you're missing. You don't know how to write copy, you don't know how to create content, you don't know how to convert people, you don't know how to have a relationship, you don't know how to send emails. It could be any one of these skills that are missing or the missing piece in order for you to actually start making money. Or the second thing, which is actually much harder to fix, and that category is if you have a belief gap. And this belief gap could be anything to do with either money or making sales or self worth. This could be something like imposter syndrome. It could really go into so many different categories. And it's really important as an entrepreneur, even if you're not a full time entrepreneur yet, to identify whether you have a skill gap or you have a belief gap and to work on one of those, if not both, at the same time in order to grow you and your business. Because if you don't address that, you're not going to be able to meet the goals that you have set out for yourself. The next thing that I want to share with you is again something that has a little bit to do with a belief gap, which often tells us that we don't really want to sell, we don't really want to know about numbers. And I hate to tell this to you, but you have to get comfortable with selling and you have to get comfortable with numbers because business at its very, very core is just plain math. If you don't know how many clicks it's going to take to make one sale, if you don't know how many pieces of content it's going to take for you to make one sale, if you don't know how to have a conversation with someone on your sales page so that they will actually convert into a customer, you're not going to be able to make sales. How are you going to be able to make money if you don't know how to sell and if you don't know how to figure out the numbers? So it's extremely important to educate yourself about what are the most important numbers in your business. What are the metrics that you need to understand day in and day out? And this is especially true for a product-based business because you don't have just one or two clients that you need in order to, have a good round sum of money coming in every single day. Maybe you're selling a $25 product. So how many products do you need to sell in order to make $25,000 a month? And to make that happen, what is your clicks or traffic going to look like? All of these numbers are things that you have to get extremely comfortable with. And once you get comfortable with these numbers, I kid you not, you're going to get comfortable with selling because you're going to realize that a core essential function of running any business is sales. There's a reason why the biggest companies in the world have large marketing and sales divisions because their business would not exist without it. So why do you feel like you could do it without making any sort of effort in creating your sales or understanding your numbers? Now, if you can actually afford to have a good consultant or an accountant who can help you with that, that is great. But from my own expertise, that was not a luxury that I had when I was starting out. So what I would do is I would literally create an Excel sheet where I would list down everything that I'm spending money on down to even $1 or $2 a month and all the money that I'm generating and from which products. So that really helped me narrow my focus and I saw it every single day. Till this point in time where we're making millions of dollars, I still see this sheet every single day. Even though I have a great tax team that helps me with all of my numbers, I still love to actually see what is happening every single day because the minute I lose touch with the numbers that are actually helping me run the business, I'm going to not be able to understand what I could do to change or improve things that are not working out. And it's not just important to track the money that's coming into your bank account, it's also important to track the process in which it's happening. So what are the numbers that you need to understand before that happens? Now, I have a really helpful podcast that I recorded for this, which is called How Quickly Can You Make Money with Digital Products, where I actually walk you through an example with all the numbers. I would really urge you to check that out. Just scroll down to a couple of episodes before. And that is where I break down the numbers that you need to understand in order to start making money online. And if this is something which you feel is more of a mental block where you just feel bad about showing up to sell, or you feel icky or annoyed, or you feel like you're going to take too much space, I really urge you to check out my podcast episode where I talk about the 5 mindset practices that I use to 10x my income. And I have another mindset episode as well. You can also text me on Instagram, tag me with my podcast, and let me know if there's any topic that you would like me to cover, because I'm really happy to get suggestions from you all and dive deeper into these mindset things as well. And the one final thing that I want to share with you before we call it a day is that support is not a given. Now, I think a lot of us get started and we get frustrated when our friends and family around us don't really understand what we're doing. And the thing is, it is rare to want to do something that is out of the norm. If you're trying to do something that 99% of the people around you are not doing, you are going to be the odd one out. So the sooner you make peace with that, the sooner you're going to have success. Because if you're waiting for people to support you, to clap for you, to cheer you on, you're going to be waiting a long, long time. Because like I said, I gave you the backstory of how long it took me to get to 1,000 subscribers, 10,000 followers, my first dollar online. And it was years before I actually made that happen, right? So I want you to keep that in mind, that you don't have to always expect support in order to show up for your business. You need to show up for your business because you committed to yourself that you wanted to do something different. And in order to do something different, you have to act, think, and be different. You cannot be the same person that you are every single day and that you were with all of your friends who are maybe not able to understand this and still expect different results. So something's got to change, right? Like nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you've been lucky enough that you have friends and family that understand who you are or your entrepreneurial dreams and they're supportive of it, that is great. You are so lucky and, go for it. But if that is something that you don't have and you're craving support, I really urge you to look for places where you can get support, whether it is a Facebook group online, whether it is a membership class, whether it is even an offline support group where you can join a group of, networking with entrepreneurs or side hustlers. Look for ways that you can get that support if you're not getting that in your real life or offline space, so to speak. If you want success in the digital field, you have to be comfortable with being misunderstood, because it's not just going to happen with your friends and family. It's also going to happen with your strangers as well, where there are going to be many times you're going to wake up to trolls, you're going to wake up to mean comments about the way you look, the way you speak, the way you talk, the color of your hair. I have literally received, and I still receive comments every single day, which I could use as a way to stop doing my business and hide under my, blanket and never show up again. Or I just use that as a way to keep going, a way to keep educating, a way to keep showing and leading the way. And I think it's really about changing and flipping your mindset and realizing that you don't need to be seen as a specific way in order to make a good living and in order to create impact in this world. You can do it for yourself. You owe it to yourself. And by the virtue of committing to creating your own business, you're already doing that. So go for it. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to give us a follow. And if you would like to learn more about how I'm building a profitable digital product business, I have a 100% free training that you can get started with. It's just 25 minutes of the step-by-step roadmap of how I went from zero to over $1 million with digital products. If you want to check that out, the link is going to be in the description box or in the show notes. Thank you so much